The bracketology one.
Welcome to the San Antonio FC Fancast. I'm your host, Royce, joined by Harry and Rafa. Let's do as we do and go around the kind of bases. Yeah, I guess around the horn's a little bit better because it's not bases. We don't have four. Rafa, how are you doing tonight?
I'm working on getting that fourth.
Fair enough.
Good.
I'm working.
Well, one of our fourths is going to be.
He's living it up. He's living it up in Arlington.
Another one is living it up in Arlington, Texas. Yeah, after a 15-9 win by the Brahmas, the fighting Heinz Wards. So,
let me ask you a question.
Shout out to Robert.
Obviously, Robertson's.
Okay. I'll answer your question. The Brahmas are definitely the real deal. They're the real soccer in town. They're the anyway. I'm sorry. I had to. Go ahead, Harry.
Well, no. Are you following them? I thought I would follow them more, but I'm not.
Not at all. No, they suck, and it's obvious the city isn't really following them. Their last home game had like 15,000 after the first one had 30 plus. So it's obvious that the results on the field, everyone's kind of seen the product. It hasn't really set itself apart from anything. The rules are confusing. They're not very clear. There's a lot of things they need to go forward if they're really going to make an impact in the city. One of the things they do have that I kind of discussed on Twitter.
Merch.
I have not opened up my haven't opened up my Twitter account since I posted that, but yeah, that was San Antonio FC doesn't have merch everywhere. Obviously they just have the contract with the Soccer Factory. I did go to Academy today to get a baseball belt for my kid. Dumb on my part because they literally had two belts left, a purple one and a white one. That's not going to work. But when I was there, I walked by the pro shop and they had a Green Team's Yeti jersey, and they obviously had nothing SAFC, and I was just like, you've got to be kidding me. Like, they've got to change that if they want to continue to sell out, which, spoiler alert, we're going to go into the sixth consecutive sellout. If they want to continue to do that, they need to do two things. They need to get their merch, and they need to get it licensed to where it can be in more stores, in Walmart's, H-E-B. I pointed out H-E-B's and Academies. That would go a long way, but Walmart's, local Targets, stuff like that, that would be huge. People would see the logo, and you can't pay that for that kind of advertising. And the second thing is more broadcasting, local TV broadcast. I think a local radio broadcast would go a long way. I used to listen to the Rampage on Ticket 760, and that really made me a Rampage fan back when we had the Rampage, RIP. I think that would go a long way. If you want to continue to sell out, if you want to build the popularity to force the city to maybe build even more of the stadium because too many people want to go to the game, hey, that's not a bad thing. Sorry. And Harry, how are you doing?
Well, since we're already kind of getting pet peeves off here.
Okay.
They did a wonderful job highlighting women. It would have been a perfect opportunity to announce an intention of either going into the Super League or the USLW League, I think it is.
And the BSL.
The W League or the Super League, either one.
Well, no, just keeping it in USL. So not even talking about NWSL, which I would love for them to do that. They got a perfect stadium for it. It would blow up in San Antonio. But to highlight the women like they did, and they deserve it, and they did a great job on that.
They really did.
To me, it would have been awesome for them to tap on, say, and I know Pro SAFC, Matthew and
Clayton.
Shattuck or Clayton. We're talking about, hey, just the girls' academy, just laying that foundation of something women, girls related would have reinforced that. But
100%. No, I don't disagree with you. I agree wholeheartedly.
Well, we're all
I'll leave it-
agreeing,
I'll leave it at
TV, HEB, and women's team. Should
I just don't have the money in my pocket to agree with you that much, but I agree. So,
and at least we're not UTSA men's basketball. I'll just leave it at that.
oh, buddy.
The last one,
Nope.
please turn off the lights. And we're getting down to 4, I think, are on the roster.
No mass exodus. But it was a good.
And I will say
good week
this:
for us.
It'll be interesting with the green team up north because I think they're having locker room issues from everything that I'm hearing. So I know that'll put some smile on a lot of people's faces down here.
Well, they have their ownership has integrity issues, so let's start from there.
That's a whole separate. But yeah,
let's start from there. The team is what it is. Like, I can't get mad at the fans. I can't get mad at the players. Like,
I don't.
But it's the ownership that I have a beef with, and they can kick rocks as far as I'm concerned.
So, since we're talking about beef, I'm going to go into my rant because it ties into the next thing here. Coming out with the lineup. First, the injury report: Lorera, Manley, PC. Dylan was kind of a surprise if you weren't paying attention. I think all 3 of us kind of expected him to be out. If he played, it was going to be a little bit shocking after the ankle sprains in Loudon. And Juan Carlos Oscar still out. I think a lot of us were hoping he would be back for that here. So hopefully everything's okay if he did have a new addition along those lines, because that is 3 weeks that he's been out for that. And we knew Shannon Gomez was on international duty with Trinidad and Tobago for that here, which left us this lineup here: Farr, Tainer, Garcia, Batista, Bailey, Hayes, Abu, Maloney, Camarney Smith, Nico Hansen's back from daddy duty, and Royce will go into that here in a little bit here. Nacho on the bench: Mercado, backup goalkeeper, good. Parano back from injury. Holt, Dezel Ozuna, Eduardo Fernandez. 3 academy kids. Without the 3 academy kids, we don't have enough to fill out a proper roster. If you actually look at our roster build right now, we've got 16 full-time contracts, 2 people on 25-day contracts, and 8 academy kids. I know San Antonio FC is saying, hey, forget about last year. And I know it's early, and I know, they've had a rash of bad luck. But you can't tell me having 1 sub, and I think it's been 1 sub the last 2 games, right? For the most part. Well, I think you had 2 with through there, but you had the 3 academy kids. There is no reason why this team should not have addressed some of the signings, because there's no depth on this team at all. You're going to run these players, but we've all said Coach Marcina demands a lot. It's a high-performing system here. It's very physical. It drains you. Yet you can't fill. San Antonio at this time cannot build out a proper lineup. Why we're only at, assuming that we sign the 25-day contracts, and we'll kind of get into that here next. You're at 18 players. Normally you run for the senior roster. Normally you're running 20, 21, and then you add on through there. So they're running 2 or 3 players short. Now, we've heard of one, that still hasn't been announced, which is kind of surprising at this point. So I'm not sure if there's paperwork, visa issues, whatever's going on. If it fell through, who knows what's going on, but they've got to do something. They're just, the national announcers, Kerr and Watts, who do a great job, said that their goal with Abu was to ease him back. Playing 75 minutes in a full 90 minutes, that's not easing him back. So, your guys' thoughts on the lineups and my little rant there, my crazy Harry?
Is 100% right. I mean, to have only one legitimate sub. So imagine it's one of the guys goes down, especially like with Abu. We're trying to bring him up to par, getting the minutes. And let's say if he goes down, I mean, you're gonna risk the chance throwing one of those academy players in. I think they need to really kind of look at themselves in the mirror and say, hey, you know what? We do need to add a couple some more depth, especially up top. I think we do need to find another striker, like kind of we did last year around May, and then also solidify another central defender that can play the holy mid, or even in the attacking mid, either or add one of each, because I think we're losing a lot of the balls in play in that area, and I think that's where a lot of teams are kind of focusing on us in the last 3 games. So we need to fix that issue. Nothing wrong with the academy players, but you're not going to risk it unless you're up 6-0 or you're getting blown out. That's when you put them in. But I think that's an issue that we need to fix at ASAP.
Obviously, squad depth isn't where it should be. I'm gonna come off the ledge a little bit. We do have 7 players unavailable, whether it's injury or it's international duty or dad duty. Which, I mean, it is what it is. So there is depth. It's just the reason that we have the depth we have is to cover the team whenever you lose 7 players. It's unfortunate. We will get Shannon back pretty quickly. The others, I'm not sure. Obviously, hopefully, Wando Zokar can take as much time as he needs to with his wife. That's a family thing. Get your family settled and then come back to the team. It's and his baby was born like the week before the opening match. So I have no qualm. I mean, being a dad myself, I get it. Like I don't know. My wife I think she was able to get a couple months off. So the last month leading up to the, having Rex, and then the month after. And I think I had a month with her as well, which was really nice. And I couldn't imagine going back to work, inside that first month that a kid's alive. It's crazy. I'm not sure if it's his first, but if it is his first, it's even more crazy because you don't know what to do. So I get it from a dad's standpoint. As far as the injuries, they need to get healthy. We saw JD on the turf at Loudon just get eaten up by the turf monster. He's not injured. He's just, if he needed to go, I'm sure he could have gone. But at the same time, he just needs to rest a little bit because he did roll his ankle a couple times. Loera, we're not sure. Parano coming back was a great sign, and he looked unbelievable. So he looked healthy. PC, we'll see what happens. I don't know. So yeah, the depth is an issue, but at the same time, we're seeing the depth right now because we have 7 players out. At the same rate, I will say a big thing that happened last season that I think the Spurs and Tim Holt is really going to look for this season are going to be reinforcements midway through the season. So I think this is the squad until, and I know last year, when Puro SAFC had their, and we're going to talk about them a little bit more, whenever they had their, predictions early in the season. What are their early season predictions? One of their predictions that came true, I think it was Shattuck's prediction, was that our top scorer is not on the squad yet. And I think that may be the same case this season, that our top scorer, not on the squad yet. And it may be somebody we get in May, June, July, probably June or July, whenever the European window, whenever the season ends. It's very possible we start looking for reinforcements that way. MLS is going to be a lot more settled then, so a lot of those fringe players are going to be available for loan. So, i.e., Asema Adeniran. I mean, who else have we gotten that has really changed the complexion in the last few seasons? Courtney Ford completely changed the complexion of the 2021 team. I'm sure everybody's yelling other names right now that we picked up that were kind of mid-season transactions and completely changed the team. I mean, last year with Nacho coming back over from Croatia, like that was a big deal. So I think that's what we're going to look for. And I think they're just kind of leaving those slots open. They don't want to fill it up too quickly. At the same time, you have Batista and you have Bailey on those 25-day contracts, which are probably going to get extended. We'll get more into that later. But I'm going to talk Yeah, a dinner in 2.0. Oh, Darius, I keep meaning to try to meet with you at the game for your scarf, which is like 2 months ago. That's my bad. I'm just gonna ship it out tomorrow. I keep trying to get with you to meet you. Not working out. Gonna send you the scarf. Apologies. But yeah, same a dinner in 2.0 coming. And yeah, Abu came, that's right. Abu came over halfway through the 2021 season. A huge game changer and a guy who's really made a name for himself here. Well, I mean, he's been a name everywhere he's gone, but he's really settled here in San Antonio, which I love to see. Love Mo Abu, love his attitude. And man, yeah, I think that's what's going to happen. I think you're going to get 2 or 3 players halfway through the season, and they're probably going to change, really change who we are as a team and hopefully really improve us. So I'm tired of talking. Let's go on to the next thing, Harry.
So I am going to just kind of finish up with that here. And I know Royce is going to come up with a nickname for, for Panic Harry, whatever we're going to call this segment here. Points matter, whether it's week 1 or the last week. And that's my concern on if we sacrifice a little bit now, if San Antonio wants to host the finals and play in the playoffs here, that could come up. But the next one here, 25-day contracts. It's make a decision. Batista, Bailey. This one should be pretty quick. Obviously, Bailey, I think there's another week to 10 days on. Batista, though, I think we're coming up this week, right? I believe
next week. Next Monday, I believe, is going to be the 25
Monday.
days, April 3rd. So the day before the Open Cup match, I think, is when that 25 days is up.
But we've seen Batista for 3 weeks. I think everybody after the first match already had him locked in and loved.
I wasn't sure after the first. I'll be honest. After the first match, I was not convinced about his defensive abilities. Yes, he scored the 2 goals. That's a big deal. Like let's not joke around. The second game, he got beat for the goal for the other team. Not great. But this match that we're going to get into, he put Malik Foster, one of the quicker forwards, wingers in the league, in his pocket and suffocated him. This game against Colorado Springs was his best defensive performance, and he earned it 100% in this game. Bailey, again, going forward, he wasn't as impressive as I would hoped he would be. He's more of a defender, obviously. He's more of a right back, but he did really well in his right back duties. There were a couple times where he and Fabian had a miscommunication. They kind of both went out, and neither of them came up with the ball, and they let a Colorado Springs player go through them. So not ideal, but that's a communication thing. As far as his abilities and him being on that field, he belongs. He looked really good. And he even had the shot that got deflected that ended up going in for the Mo Abu goal. So I think
got to sign him, right?
I think it's
simple, right?
It's as simple as that. I think so. I think they've earned the spot. Hopefully that didn't really burn. Well, hopefully those are just defenders that you would need in the beginning of the season. Hopefully that didn't burn 1 or 2 of the midseason roster slots, the money that they would spend on players. But I think both of those players, we can go a long way with them in those positions for sure.
Bailey's
Rafa,
probably Bailey's like your Jordy DeLem. I guess kind of that role. As far as how we brought in some extra depth for the defense, I think that's what Bailey's going to be, kind of your Jordy DeLem. Who was the other guy that we had where we brought in? I forgot his name. But
Diouf?
He was also a defense. Yeah, not Diouf. No, it was somebody else. Another defender we brought in. Can't catch his name, but
drawing a blank right now.
Yeah, drawing.
Hold on, I'm pulling up the list right here.
The
really
one
good
that
production right now.
We didn't re-sign. He's kind of living it up right now. Besides Dillam.
Abdul Salam.
Salam.
No,
Yeah,
that's right.
Salam.
Well, Salam, I think was taking Saad was taking care of his brother, and I think he's doing a family thing. I don't think he's playing anywhere. So I think he's doing a family thing, and obviously he almost lost his brother. So yeah, when stuff like that happens, it kind of changes your priorities for sure. And obviously Jordy's doing the dad thing as well. So I get it. And when you're in Jordy's position, you're an MLS Cup champion. More importantly, you're a USL Championship champion with San Antonio FC. You get to have, that time off, and perhaps halfway, perhaps halfway through the season, he'll be ready to play again, and his agent will get on that horn with Tim Holt, and we'll bring Jordy to Lim back, which he brought a lot of. Obviously, he brought a lot of really solid play on the field, but he brought a lot of veteran leadership as well last season to get us through the playoffs.
And that's what you see with Bailey. Like I said, that as far as that role filling in, like, because he's basically like a switchblade. He can be a defender, or he can play out of the wing. So I think that's the reason why we signed him, because he can do both. Because they did mention that he's a hybrid. They were trying to make him to a hybrid type of player in that role and so forth. But he had a great game last night. So I think he's earned his contract to be extended.
So let me ask you this question here, and I'll start with you, Rafa. Originally, the plan was a loan with Edwards from the Rapids. Injury situation with the Rapids, he got recalled back. If you're SAFC, do you try to re-engage those talks, or do to me, do you roll the dice with Batista, or do you do both if they're here? Because when we initially got Batista, the thinking was, hey, this was just kind of short term because Edwards is going to be coming back because the injuries, were considered short term. And speaking with Matt Pollard, from Hanging the High Line, who covers the Colorado Rapids. So if it comes to Edwards, and then obviously the other thing that we don't know, the health of Manley, the health of Manley here. So do you sign Batista, and still do the loan, or do you, because let's be honest, we are a D2 team, and money doesn't grow on trees.
Well, I think you do sign them both, because if Edwards does come back, you're going to plug him in. There's your experience right there, your back three. But this also allows Batista to also kind of learn. He was just thrown into the fire. Like I said, he played 2 days after he got signed. So at least this will give him time to learn from Tanner, Garcia, and also Edwards, such roles. Plus, like I said, we're going to have, U.S. Open Cup games. So it's perfect, to say, if he has to play some of those games, he can get into those. And having a lot of depth on the defense is great, because once you get Manley back, now you have a five-player rotation that you can, if you have to put Manley out and put maybe Edwards there or Batista in, you can really kind of change the lineup there. Or if you have to give a Tanner or Garcia a rest. Or remember last year, Garcia was out for a while. So, it's imperative to have that, at least a five and maybe a 6 defender depth there into that squad.
Yeah, I definitely think Edwards would. If Colorado gets back on the horn to Tim Holt, I think you go with that loan. I don't think loans have anything to do with money. I think it's just agreements, especially going from MLS to USL. I don't see MLS forcing USL to cover any sort of salary. But apparently Edwards made the bench again, and he was an unused sub once again. So we'll see how that changes. He's been the first game when he was back, he wasn't even in the 18. The last 2 games, he's been an unused sub. So he's obviously just a depth choice right now for Colorado, which if you look at their record, I don't see how he's just a depth choice, but I don't think defense is their issue. I think obviously offense is their issue, but no, if Colorado gets back on the horn and they get more healthy, then you absolutely get you get him back over here, because you don't know what's going to happen. Obviously, we already have 7 players unavailable. You don't know what's going to happen further than that. And in most seasons, we have 5 or 6 center back options. So, and even last season, we had quite a few center back options, and we still had to use Jordy to Lim as a center back. So, that Yes, obviously, yes. And defensive depth is always important, especially in on this squad, as we've seen so far.
So moving to the highlights. This is the courtesy of USL, YouTube, ESPN Plus, SAFC. Colorado Springs Switchbacks. Let's get into it. You guys can't hear it, right? You guys couldn't hear it, right?
No.
If you want to kind of, I forgot some volume on. You guys want to talk about the environment?
Yeah, I mean, as we've said, so let's set up the game. Let's set up the context. It was the first dollar beer night. It's the second home match of the season. We had over 7,900 fans in the stands, so it was another sellout. I don't know what exactly the number is to trigger a sellout. I think it's a little over 78 to trigger a sellout from what I've seen before, but I think it's when you start having standing room only tickets getting sold, I think it counts as a sellout. Which apparently we had. So it was kind of a chill. It kind of got chilly. I guess that was last night, wasn't it? Jeez.
I actually felt good last night.
It felt good. It started off in the 70s and then it kind of dipped down into the high 60s. So I know we took jackets and Rex had his jacket on early. But it was a good match. As we've heard, there were issues with the concessions. I think Toyota Field and San Antonio FC, it's run by the city. That's kind of the issue. Or it's run by Spurs, and the concessions, pretty sure, are also run by the Spurs.
Is it Aramark?
There's probably Aramark, exactly. They just didn't have enough servers for the dollar beer, which maybe that's by design. Maybe they don't want everyone to get tanked. But there was definitely a service issue. The lines were super long and they stayed long throughout halftime, and that was a little disappointing to see. But
that's something they really need to fix. I think logistically they got to maybe do something. I know like they have that self-serve one at that one section. I think they need to do it at some other, at other sections that have the self-serve to maybe kind of let things flow a lot faster,
right?
And that way there's not a lot, because I saw quite a few long lines. It's like, this is a little ridiculous. So
I wonder what it would take. I wonder what it would take to have like runners, like order runners. You order on your phone and then it just comes to you. I wonder how much overhead that would take, and if that would have one person dedicated to each section. And I wonder
because they can't order they can't order a beer on the app, right?
So you can't order the dollar beer. The lady kept telling me it should be on there. I never saw it. The only beer that I saw that was on the app is the $12 Tall Boys. I didn't see anything else. So maybe it is there and I just didn't see it. But yeah, that was definitely a disappointing thing. And I was one of them that was in line for halftime. I was in line, but I still had a view of the field. But I was in line for, from almost the beginning of halftime until the 65th minute when they stopped serving. And I did not get a beer at halftime. So a little disappointed at that. It was partially the lack of servers. The other issue was a couple people ahead of me. They just kept adding drinks and adding drinks and adding drinks. And they ran like a $75 tab because they couldn't make up their mind on what they wanted. And they just wasted everybody's time. So yes, a server issue, but also fans, get it together. Know what you want when you get up there, order it, and that's it. Get out of there because it's a limited time and you're wasting everybody's time behind you. So,
little comment from Coach Cano.
Yeah. Well, I mean, it's San Antonio. What are we going to talk about? Anytime anybody has a dollar beer night, whether it's the Missions or the Flying Chanclas or the Rampage back in the day, or San Antonio FC now, whenever there's a dollar beer night, San Antonio shows up. And we obviously saw that last night. We get everything sorted out with that, Harry?
I hope so.
All right, hit the highlights.
Let's put this on here.
I'll commentate on it. It's okay. So we just don't have any dead air. All right. So there's a kickoff. Colorado goes long and they lose possession. Colorado intercepts in midfield. They get the player got a lot of run. The forwards didn't run with him to go back. And Ja'Cory tried to go for the slide tackle to intercept, and he got all leg and no ball. Ended up getting called a yellow card. A very similar thing happened where Nacho got fouled maybe 5 minutes after that. Going the other way, and it was just a foul. So we'll talk about the ref. Well, I'll talk about him in limited spaces. He's very inconsistent with his calls. We saw Zico Bailey have a shot there that went wide. That really didn't trouble the keeper. He kind of had that corner covered. We saw a free kick right there from Fabian Garcia. That the goalkeeper kind of had. It needed a lot more power. The keeper had kind of had that one telegraphed. There's one of the pause real quick so I can catch up with my commentary. That was the play that we were talking about. One of the few attacks that we created in the first half comes off a rebound. Ja'Cory Hayes approaches it, just rifles it with his right foot, just couldn't keep it under the bar, comes off the bar screaming, and comes straight to Nico, but it's a little too hot for Nico, and he heads it over. That was a really good chance, a really quality strike from a veteran player to keep his knee over it. Just couldn't quite keep it under the crossbar. Keep going.
Yeah, that shot that Ja'Cory shot, that one did touch the goalkeeper. Did get to lay a hand on it.
Oh,
so
did
he doesn't get a hand on, yeah, if he doesn't get a hand on it, that's in the net.
It's doing the Germany down and down and in.
Yeah, because we saw the play there where we set at 114. That was a beautiful shot. I mean, kudos to the Colorado player,
this is a
Colorado keeper.
This is the go back. I want you to pause real quick. Go back 2 seconds. Okay, yeah, and then just no. It's okay. Keep going. This is what I wanted to talk about right here because it shows exactly what I was talking about. It's forward. No, I'll tell you when to pause. Hold on. So anybody actually watching the live stream can see what I'm talking about here. And there's Nico's header over the bar. Pause. Okay. So now you can see right here, Lamar Batista is running from the midfield. He's a tall guy right in the middle.
Pause.
Okay.
Pause. I know where you're going.
Are you going to go with the average positions?
No, good old John.
No. Good old USL tactics.
Okay.
This is because you're talking about Batista's positioning, right?
Yep.
This
is a perfect example right
there. You go. He's coming up for the press. And you could see in the background, in the top right-hand corner, how close Mitch and Fabian are to each other. And you can even see Bailey up there, who's also in line with them as a back four. And then off the screen is Connor Maloney also in line. So you have
Connor's
a back
right here.
Okay, so Connor's up here getting on the press, so he needs to get his butt back is what he needs to do. Because there's Malik Foster. Malik Foster's fast as hell. Or no, that's Beckford. Still, Beckford's fast as hell. Malik Foster's up there with the center backs. But yeah, no, you see Batista come up, and he's coming up for the press to try to press off that pass. So that's what I meant by a lot of times Batista would have to come up and help out in the midfield, right? Because Ja'Cory's over there, kind of up top. No, I think that's Mo.
A boo.
That's Mo. Ja'Cory's up. Nope. There. That's Ja'Cory. Ja'Cory's up to try to connect the back line and the midfield with the forwards. So he's kind of caught up, and so Batista has to come up and help out in the midfield. So you have that midfield triangle there, even though Camarney's still trying to go forward. That's where kind of Camarney needs to do a little bit more work to get back, more of the Justin Dillon role to get back. But he had his nose for goal, and he kept trying to go forward. Go ahead and go forward.
Rafa has an interesting point because he pointed this out during the match, and I think this kind of really illustrates Rafa's point of view as far as how Batista was playing.
Yeah, he was playing high to defend a lot of the overlaps. So it's something what I read on John's comments on Twitter on John from USL Tactics. Colorado's really was playing a lot to the outside. If you notice, a lot of the plays were going to to Beckford. They were utilizing a lot of that speed. And if you see here, they have a 3v2 there. And if you push it up a little bit more when the pass is sent, now it's gonna Garcia's gonna have to make that. See, it pulls it out. What they're looking for in Colorado, you see the 1v1s there. That was the whole strategy for them, is to pull our guys out, stretch them out to create these 1v1 chances off the cross. I know they were playing some stuff in the middle, but if you noticed the whole night, they were focusing a lot on Beckford, utilizing his speed and to play the ball back, because Beckford did also get a shot on Jordan, one of the near posts. But you can see there we have 1v1s there. But if you notice, Bailey's able to kind of react to cover that guy. So we did good.
Maloney hustles back too as well to get.
Yeah, so we did well keeping our shape, but you got to give also kudos there to Garcia to really kind of cleaning up that play there. Because if he gets beat there, like I said, if no one's there, if he doesn't react to there, there's an open space there to send across, or even a shot there at the near post.
But to me, if I understand you guys right here, this is kind of what opens up the play, is Kamari not being as aggressive or as pressing.
That's the press
on here.
That's the pressing action.
Opens up.
Correct. That's a pressing action that needs a lot more effort right there. And Kamarni's a forward. He's not used to pressing that much. He's used to going forward. That's why I said his nose is for goal. And this is kind of one of those learning moments. We've talked about, learning the system, learning what's expected of you on the field. Yeah, training's going to be one thing. On the game is going to be completely different. And this is one of those. This is one of those moments, and it's another one of those moments that just shows you how important Justin Dillon is to this system. Because Justin Dillon, he doesn't let that guy go by. That guy is getting pressed, and he doesn't have any space to make a comfortable pass.
Would it have been better? I was going to ask you, would it have been better if maybe putting Kamarni on the outside and having Nacho in the inside, since Nacho knows about playing in that role, because he has played that role, and he has more of the mentality with like what Dillon does, to go back, have the discipline to go back and to defend that space. I think they should have done that, because that would have kind of kept, if Kamarni's more of the straightforward attack, I think he would have been more comfortable there. I think Nacho would have fit in just fine there, because he's played that role before in some of the games last season.
I think two things go to that. I think number one, I think Nacho is more of a header threat than Kamarni.
Mm-hmm.
Obviously, I haven't seen Kamarni really play as a natural forward like Nacho did. And we had a lot of crosses going in. Like I said, we had Bailey go up a lot, and he crossed the ball quite a bit to try to meet Nacho's head. So I don't know if the crossing would have been as effective with Kamarni up there. It may have been. At the same time, I don't know if Nacho has the legs to stay in the midfield and to do all that. Yes, he tracked back a lot, which is great to see. I don't know if he has the legs to keep up that press the entire match, and we needed him to stay in the entire match. And I think Kamarni is more physically built for that kind of running and that more or less thankless job, the JD role. And that's something that he can build into. JD wasn't that player overnight. It took him a couple of seasons to get there. So perhaps Kamarni, later this season will get it. It'll click, and he'll, but the first game, kind of watching him in that role, he's got some work to do for sure.
Because listen
to me being a couch quarterback, sitting on my chair drinking my beer. But at the same time, I mean.
But yeah, because talking to Harry at the game, because we kind of noticed that, and we were just, he was just he looked very lost, and there was also Harry mentioned about some of the passes, the connection wasn't there, right, and some little frustration, and that's where you see why we miss PC, and then also when we made the switch to Parano, that's where you see the difference there.
Christian completely changed his match in the 55th minute when he came on. What's this highlight of, Harry?
This is the goal, because I went through the YouTube highlights, and for whatever reason, they're not good. I know there were sound issues.
Yeah.
With the broadcast here. So I'm just going to do the goal shot from SAFC's social media, Twitter, and then we'll do the PK save, because that's really the big.
Yeah,
point.
Right. So right now, Ja'Cory has the ball in midfield. He has Mo ahead of him and Connor up there. He bypasses a midfielder, a really nice through ball out wide to, is that not? Yeah, that's Nacho out there. And Bailey comes up. Bailey gets a shot, and that deflects off of a defender, kind of right in Mo's path. The shot was going in the lower right-hand corner if you're the goalkeeper, lower left if you're looking at the goal. He dives, the deflection comes the other way. It goes to Mo. Mo heads it in. The keeper almost gets a hand on it because he's like 7'6" or something. That dude's giant. But it goes in, and Mo gets his goal during Ramadan, which was really cool, and it was a special moment, I felt, because they did interview him halfway through the week with doing the walking the pitch with Brian, and they discussed for those that aren't too familiar, I'm not too familiar with the Muslim faith, but I do know during Ramadan it's a fasting time where people of the Islamic faith will fast. They will not eat
or drink.
It depends. It depends, but yeah, a lot of them don't eat or drink.
Done to DOS.
Correct. From sunrise to sunset, they don't eat anything. They don't drink. And then
anything. They can drink water. I think.
Right. Once that sun sets, then they, it's a big feast. It's a huge feast, and so they start off their day with the big feast before the sun comes up. They end their day with the big feast, but there's nothing in between, and it kind of goes toward the sacrifice of their prophet. So, and for him to go all 90 minutes plus score a goal, apparently he hadn't scored a professional goal in 9 seasons. Insane. But he got his goal, and he was saying, Brian asked him, how do you do it? Like, how do you do it? And he's like, I just have the faith that God will take care of me if I do what I need to do. And here you go, scores a goal. It's pretty inspirational, and he's such a good dude. So
one interesting aspect of this here that I don't think, everybody talks about the goal and through here, but how many times have we seen players that just ease into an offside position, and he was able to kind of hold that line for that? Because I've seen it several times where you get that reflection. To me, I think that's a big part of Abu and him being able to score is he knew where that line was, and he didn't cross it either. So kudos to Abu on that.
Yeah, and one of my favorite things is that the entire team celebrated this. Jordan ran from the goal box, and everyone was so happy for Mo, and you can tell how much he means to the team just by that. And speaking of how much he means to the team, we can go to the next highlight and talk about the icing on the cake for this one.
I guess we could try this here. Let's see. A little better copy of it here, actually. Yeah. So it's not broken.
Yeah. So we talked about that. There's the Ja'Cory Hayes yellow card, and man, this dude was giving out.
Oh, here's where you can talk about your referees here. So yeah, so that's the reaction of most SAFC fans right there.
Yeah, pretty much. And there's a cross coming out, and there's Bailey's shot that went just wide that we talked about. And then here comes Fabian's kind of spinner that didn't really get the power he wanted on that one at all.
Rafa thought he should have went far post.
Yeah, I think the keeper kind of cheated. If you look, whenever before Fabian looks down at the ball,
he took a step.
He took a step more to the right, and here's Ja'Cory's shot that rings. I think that post is still ringing after that shot, and then Nico just couldn't keep that header down. Unbelievable.
Yeah, he got his top.
Oh yeah, he did.
His top hand.
You're right. I did not see that the keeper got.
Yeah, he doesn't get that top hand. It's in the goal.
Absolutely. And here you go. There's Malik Foster trying to make a big move, and he can't get around Lamar Batista, who stayed with him, and there's a save from out wide. Here's Beckford. It's great to see Beckford back. Obviously, he got the start, and he's getting a lot more playing time in Colorado Springs, which he deserves. I think he deserves. He was that player that when that I felt for SAFC, we put on the field whenever we were down and we needed to chase a goal. That just didn't happen a lot last season. So, and there's that super late save in the first half by Jordan Farr. And that's the end of the first half there. And then we will pick it up. Okay, Colorado Springs attack on the right. Little drop-off pass. It comes into the middle. And Jordan Farr kind of scouted that one out. He was waiting for it, and the shot didn't have that much power.
If that was a right-footed shot, that's in. If you notice, he adjusted to his left, and it took off a lot of the
sting.
Yeah. So you'll watch the play. That's a right-footed shot.
So he kicked the wrong foot, right?
Yeah.
That's why
the wrong foot.
It's just wrong-footed. I think he's just
because look at the momentum. If he steps into with his right foot, it's a goal. Since he has to lean back, kind of shift.
No, I think he's just
to the left.
I think 20 is just violently left-footed from Colorado Springs. I don't know if he has a true right foot, so I think that's what he was just kind of left with. So, is what it is.
And then Mitch finally got his yellow card after 2 games.
Yeah,
in the third game.
Well, 3 games. Yeah. Yeah, and here's the goal. Once again, Nacho out wide with the cross, which is awesome to see. Mo kind of overruns it there. Bailey with the shot. It gets deflected. Mo with the header in.
Do you think he was shooting? Yeah, he was shooting. I was wondering if
he's 100%. He's 100% shooting in that bottom corner. It's the exact same shot he had on the other side. He just shot it wide. Yeah. He goes for goal this time. It gets deflected, and Mo gets his goal. So, which is great.
Do you think on the header, if you look at it, he has it a far post? You think he should have hit it near post?
You know what? He's a midfielder. He was going for the goal. He was going for the goal. That's the goal's the size of the school bus, and he was lucky to hit it. Yeah, no.
You see the goal, yeah.
Oh, no, that's what I mean. The goalkeeper almost got a hand on it. And yeah, in a perfect world, yeah, he goes near post, but at the time, he's just going for the dang goal. And then here's last minute defending. This is, added second somehow onto this because of the ref, and then it's a pretty clear handball by Garcia.
I don't think it's clear.
Yeah, it's absolutely clear. He hit it with both of his hands. Both of his hands are out to the right side. He hits it with both of his hands. It's a very clear handball. Very clear. Like he's doing this and he blocks the ball. He's just turning at the same time he does it. It's a very clear yellow card. Like there's no arguing.
He didn't get a red.
Yeah, that's correct. What everyone was arguing about there was you should have blown the whistle before, which that's very valid. He should have blown the whistle before. And then Jordan Farr just does Jordan Farr things with Juan La Madrid on the assist. Harry, do you want to? Well, I guess we'll talk about that when we get to it. So, what a moment!
And then here, if you want to hear the volume, I think they had the volume on this one. One of them they have the volume. That's not it.
Yep, not that one. So,
as far as officiating, that's probably one of the worst games.
It was desperately inconsistent.
The one call that he really messed up was the one there was a foul, and then Parano gets tackled after the whistle, and which should have been a straight red.
Yeah, he got tackled
for him to give him a yellow.
Tackled from behind, studs up after the whistle, and he got a yellow, and the guy that had the foul that got called initially to stop the play, he got a yellow. So there are 2 yellows at the same time. One of those should have been a red because it was obviously just intent to injure. Like they could tell Parano changed the game. He's dangerous. We're going to give up a goal. And that's why that tackle happened. And yeah, he was really willing to get out the yellow cards, especially for SAFC early, and then just kind of cowered and kind of let things go. There's another time where there was there's a little dust up in the box because Mitch was just coming out after a play, and he got 2-handed shoved, and Not even a foul
there was
because it was a goal
And
kick.
there was also a play that there was a punch thrown, and right in front, and nothing was done. I think it was I forgot who it was, but it was done and then
I remember
Batista
you said
came
that.
up.
Yeah.
Yeah,
Was
Batista
it their
came
big
up.
forward? Was it their big
Yeah.
forward? Yeah. Whenever they subbed the big forward in, the physical guy. Yeah, he
Wheeler.
Yeah, he did a
Wheeler.
lot of questionable stuff, which if he plays for your team, sure, you love it, but at the same time, it wasn't within the rules. Like, he did some shady crap. There's another play that I do remember where Bailey has the ball. He's on the right wing. He's completely beat his defender. He's looking for a cross, and the defender two-hand shoves him into the boards. Not even a call. The ref goes and calls a goal kick. Like, very inconsistent and just poor decisions, just poor decision making on his part, for sure. Which happens. Everyone has a stinker, but at the same time, it was bad.
I think Wheeler did that to Garcia too, right, Harry? There was one play that Wheeler did that Garcia was defending the ball, and just right in front of, and he just didn't make. Wheeler should have gotten at least a yellow by that time.
Right. So are we all done talking about that match, which was incredible? It was an incredible night. San Antonio showed out. It was super loud after that Farr save. You can cut the tension with a knife, and it was unbelievable. For sure. And hopefully we do the same thing in the next match. I believe the next home match, is going to be the U.S. Open Cup on the 4th, correct?
No.
100%, yes.
So we'll see. We'll see how that goes. I'm not expecting a big crowd for that. Obviously, it's not a,
well, obviously SAFC's not either, because they've only opened up the west side of the stadium. So
That's correct.
If you haven't got tickets, go get tickets, because I don't think
I think it'll be limited seating. Absolutely,
yes.
I believe it'll be limited seating.
Might be something that we asked Matt if there's going to be a supporters group open, if the bunker is going to be open.
Yeah,
that might
I think
be
that it was
match.
You might catch me over there for sure.
Because I have seats, but yeah, it's
exactly. I think supporters bunkers is where it's at for that match for sure. I'm not sure if the fam's going at all. But we'll see.
He said it's open.
Okay, so the bunker will be open, so that's good to hear. Hopefully we get plenty of supporters over there. And then the next home match, the next match is coming up, is going to be on the 1st against Scramble Panic. I just saw it. Oh, Monterey Bay. We play in Monterey Bay at 9 p.m. on April 1st. So that'll be the next match. Monterey Bay is looking really good this season. So we'll see how that turns out. Harry, you have a point to make.
Well, no, not a point. Question for you. Any chance you can get our first watch party?
Not on the 1st.
Not on the 1st? Okay.
No, not on the 1st. I believe the first watch. Okay, so I guess we'll break
it's
this
9
out.
o'clock, so that's the reason why I was asking, just because it's a late night game. So
that's fair enough. Oh, buddy, yeah, that's super late. No, April 1st is that barbecue. Is a Mike Taylor show barbecue, so I'll be incapacitated. I will watch the highlights for that one. I'll be completely honest with you. April 15th at Louisville. Tax day, gross. We'll do a production meeting.
We'll have
later.
to figure it. We'll figure it out.
We'll figure it out.
It's also the 6A final that day too.
Oh yeah, a lot of things happening.
Matt's saying everybody can go to second pitch or Alamo Beer or Crocketeers and FTC.
On our side of town, which is the northwest side, we're gonna look into possibly having a watch party over here. We'll try to do like a pre-show or maybe a post-show. So we'll see what happens with that. With whichever match we can swing. So we'll try to get that together. Let's go over.
For the Monterey Bay, what I may try to do is kind of do a watch along then.
Okay.
For that here, so have a show, or if you want to come on camera, or not, to kind of talk about it. We'll do that. I'll have to see what my schedule is going to be, but with it being a 9:00 match, that might be a perfect opportunity to try to do that.
Kind of like SAFC did during the 2020 season for the pandemic when they had the watch party and they're just the big. Everybody remember that one? That was fun, right? Oh Lord!
Seriously, Loco's done it. Seriously, Loco's done it. I know Hammering Down did it. And it might be something that maybe I'll test it out if I go to Second Pitch or Alamo. Maybe kind of do a watch party there, because you can't show the game, obviously. Right. But it'd be kind of cool to have kind of
simulcast the two crowds, and then whoever else wants to be in the. Yeah, that's not bad. That's not a bad idea.
So maybe go through there. But moving on, Mentality Monsters, because we're at 55 minutes, and Royce gets a little snickery when it gets past an hour here. So
that's correct.
Let me just make sure I get my Mentality Monster. I know we've already kind of talked about it.
Got to keep the kid on the schedule for sure. That's one big thing with 5-year-olds, toddlers, whatever you want to call them. Keep them on a schedule, because the more you go with that schedule, the more consistent things are. And the more consistent things are, the more structured they are for them. The happier they are, the better they know what to expect. So this is a new thing that we're going to bring on the show. And it's obviously inspired by the hashtag Mentality Monsters. The Mentality Monsters last season. We're going to start having every game a Mentality Monsters moment of the match. And it's going to be something where we're going to post after the game. We're going to make it interactive with everybody. We're going to get, what is your Mentality Monster moment of the match? And it's something we're going to start going forward. Obviously, I think everyone's going to say Jordan Farr. I'm not. Harry kind of is. And I don't know where Rafa is going to go with this. So, Harry,
I'm
you
going
go
on
first.
the situation here, because
we'll go the other way around. Harry, you go first with what is your Mentality Monster moment of the match?
So my Mentality Monster of the match goes to actually Mitchell Tainer. We knew it was kind of going to be a last kick effort. He unfortunately went down with cramps, or whatever the situation went down. But him going down allowed that distraction for Farr to be able to communicate with the bench. And I was actually watching that interaction. The bench was signaling to Farr where to go, based on the Colorado Springs pre-K kicker. And Farr actually signaled, and he said the direction, and he pointed down to the direction where it was. But because there was all the direction, people around him, around Mitch, all the confusion there, he was able to get the instructions from the bench, able to have that clear idea of, hey, where does the Colorado Springs kicker like to go? And obviously we saw the results. And I know Royce mentioned that, he left early. If the kicker looked up that, he could have possibly, adjusted it and moved it, and would have scored easily. But to me, that was kind of cool to see, to where the communication, and I don't know if you get that, if there's no delay due to the injury. Rafa, you may be able to speak to that, being kind of a goalkeeper and structure, getting the instruction from the bench, having that ability to be able to kind of game plan there. How important is that for a goalkeeper, even a goalkeeper like Jordan Farr?
It's very important. I actually been in that situation of back in 2012. We're at a game. We're in a game, and if it was a PK, if they make that PK, we're out of the playoff, making the playoffs. And sure enough, I made sure I told my keeper, when the guy was about to kick the ball, you yell the word keeper loud to scare him. And sure enough, when he took an approach to kick the ball, yelled the word keeper, boom, the guy shanked it in. So that was my mentality monster there. So I can relate between Jordan, Coach La Madrid on that. So yeah, it's important, and also you got to get kudos to Coach La Madrid, because he actually probably scouts a lot of their penalty kickers from the other teams and what tendencies that they have. And, sometimes they do give things that they give away, or they favored one side and the other. And, he did his homework, and then, and it allowed Jordan to complete that play, to stop that PK. So, like I said, that, if I have a mentality monster, that I'm going to give it to Coach La Madrid, because, he came through, and he was just, part of, he was part of that victory towards the end, getting Jordan prepared for that situation.
And Rafa, what's your mentality monster moment of the match?
That's what it was.
Well, that's it. That's Coach La Madrid. Yeah, Coach La Madrid.
Okay.
I mean, his preparation for, I'm sure he watches tons of video, and for these type of situations, and you got to give it to him, and I think, to me, honestly, I'm surprised like no MLS team has picked him up to be a goalkeeping coach. He's just that good, but we're lucky to have him. Hey, we don't mind that because, like I said, we have the goalkeeper of the year, and look at his track record speaks for itself. Look at all the great goalkeepers we've had, since the inception of SAFC. So he's my mentality monster of the match because his psychology, him be able to read the players and prepare our goalkeepers, got us the 3 points last night.
Absolutely. And my mentality monster moment of the match, excuse me, is going to be Mo Abu. We have PC injured, and PC normally has that role. So he's more taking instead of the distributing position, he's going more forward, and he's kind of taking up that PC role where he's everywhere. And PC is our mentality monster. He has been the guy that is just really portrayed that state of being throughout his career and throughout his time with SAFC, and to have Mo Abu have to take that take that position from him and to do what he did and to go forward, which, as he talked about, I believe he talks about in this interview, was he's like, I like to gamble a little bit to go forward. If we need a goal, I'll gamble, and maybe I can assist, maybe I can score a goal. And like we've discussed, it has been 9 seasons since he has scored a goal. That is a lot of time on the field, a lot of games, a lot of miles ran without really having to score or having the ability just to go forward to try to score, just to pad stats. So mentality monster of the match for me is Mo Abu.
And I'm going to run this video. It's from Aaron at Captain Marvel, who, if you don't know, covers SAFC for their Ticket 760. But I thought this was an awesome interview for that here.
My 2 minutes they were coming, so I was like, no, that is time. One of these, see them coming close out, and then I'm like, no, I don't know how we're waiting. I thought it was shots. But I don't fall. So like, so okay.
Yeah, unfortunately, audio didn't come out too well on that one, but basically he talks about his celebration, and they asked him,
it didn't come out.
No, it didn't sound that great. But pretty much, they asked him about a celebration. What was that celebration about? Where he goes towards his bench to go celebrate, and then he turns real quick to go the other way, and he kind of says, I wanted to go celebrate with them, but I was like, maybe I'll just go celebrate by myself. He's like, I don't score that often, so I didn't really have anything planned, and that's just how it came out. So.
I thought he was doing like a little penguin dance.
Yeah, yeah. So he's obviously just happy. So I mean, can't blame the guy. Hasn't scored in 9 seasons, which is unbelievable. Gets his goal, well deserved. The game winner, Jordan Farr with another clean sheet. The mentality monsters in the back, clean sheet. That was a really well played game for a team that you could tell was hungry for a win, who's wanted revenge, especially from last season. And what are we in the last 6 games? We're like 6-0-0 against them. They're not happy about that, and they get to not be happy for a little while longer. So, great game. Like I said, great night, and it was pretty unbelievable.
So next match is an away match. So we'll see what next late Saturday night for here, but you'll be able to do the show next Sunday. Hopefully we'll have a fourth, either possibly somebody new or Robert, or maybe both, depending on their schedules. I asked the mystery person late this afternoon. And he had kind of family commitments. He was going to try to do it, but obviously it didn't do it. So I'll wait for a proper introduction at that point. Final thoughts for me, support local high schools. Rafa's probably going to talk to you a little bit about a game on Tuesday here in San Antonio, or actually a couple of matches here.
There's quite a few.
If you want to go out and support some local high school playoffs, we did our bracketology show. If you can go on, and we broke it up into 6 episodes. The first episode, the 4A girls, I'm sorry, there were some audio issues with it, first time doing a live show. But after that went pretty smooth on there. And so if you can give those a like, listen, and through there, that's my final thought for me. Just like, thank you for everybody that tunes in. Rafa, your final thought, and then Royce will close it out.
Yeah, also shout out to like Coach Steve and Coach Kano for joining me and Harry for the bracketology on Wednesday, and all the people that have been out there supporting us, and especially the O'Connor parents from Friday night. Thank you for the great comments. They love the show, both shows, both the 50 podcast, the fan cast, and also the high school show. So thank you guys. Good luck to you guys on your next games for both teams, because both O'Connor teams actually advanced. So good luck to them. And then we'll probably go with some recaps. I think I'll be on 50-50 on Wednesday to do the recap of the bi-district area round. There are some big games coming up. I think Monday I might be down for a 5A girls area game. I'll keep you guys posted on that. And then another big Tuesday night game here in San Antonio. So we're looking to see where I'm headed to, but there's also some great games out of town. So you have a chance, go support our San Antonio teams. I know Austin kind of took it in the chin, so let's keep it. Let's let our San Antonio teams keep it going. Hopefully we bring back some state titles, and that way we can show that San Antonio high school soccer is the best in the state.
And yeah, my final thought is just going to be keep it going, San Antonio. Keep it going with the sellouts. We have 6 in a row. Let's go for 7. Obviously, the next match is going to be U.S. Open Cup match. It's not going to be a sellout. It's also during the week. It's kind of tough. But the next home match is going to be on. Should have had this one pulled up. Didn't I just say when it was going to be?
Against Sacramento, the Red Out night.
April 8, Red Out.
Yeah.
Big match. Big match.
Yeah. It'll be 1 versus 2 there. As of right now, 1 versus 2. Obviously, we have another game between. But it'll be 1 versus 2. Sac Republic comes to our house. They just beat San Diego Loyal 1-0, so that's a big result for them. And it's going to be the Red Out match. It'll be obviously the first game in Toyota Field with the new red jerseys, which will be fun to watch. Let's show up. Let's show up and show out, San Antonio. Let's sell that one out as well. And that's Saturday, April 8th. So what's life without goals? Good night. We'll see.